Here we go now, setting off on a lap, just out the pits, down Glen Crutchery Road. Bit of a wheelie there, and important to come down here quick at the start of a race. Really got to be smooth and fast, because you've only got the next man's only 10 seconds behind you, so it's important to get your speed up quickly. Resurfaced the bottom of Bray Hill here, just in the dip at the bottom, just about now. Really bounces you about this year, which is a bit of a disadvantage, but we seem to get through there alright. Big wheelies there over Aggo's Rise on the way down to Quarter Bridge. Very easy here in a race to make a silly mistake, because you've got full tank of fuel, coolish tyres, so no heroics here first lap, and then just get on the power now. Start pushing hard down here, down towards Braddon Bridge. First left-hander, so into it fairly steady. Take nice line through the middle there, get some heat into the tyres. Tyres will all be really ready to go now, so you can really start and push hard. There you can see the bit on towards Snugborough, the fast left-hander. It's absolutely flat out just there as you're going through. Over the top there, and it's really important now to keep parallel with the wall on the left-hand side. So you sit up and brake, run parallel with the wall and get a good line through Union Mills. Because out of here you've got a long drag all the way now. It's really important to get good speed out of here. There's not much you can do up here apart from tuck in and make sure there's nothing sticking out, and just try and be as small as possible behind the fairing. Another bike in front of us here just catching. This is coming down towards Glenvine. Quite a scary corner. Production bike will just go back one gear. Just down there and get on the power hard now. This is another section, it's long, fast straight, so you've got to be really important that you get your power on hard when you come out the last corner. This next corner is very scary. This is absolutely flat out in top gear. Just hear the revs rise as you go on the side of the tyre. It usually takes you a couple of laps to build up to that when you first come back. Past the pub there, this is down to what was one of the quickest parts of the circuit, down past the Highlander on the right hand side here. This will be doing on a production bike about 170, 165 miles an hour. And quite a tricky corner this, because you're braking down to third gear. So quite a bit slower than the corners before, but important to get the power on hard and really be smooth out of here. There's a little curb jumps out as you come over the top there. Important to just get close to that, and now drive out of here, drive all the way around here. It's all one long corner is that. You see the white line move about underneath you. Tip into here, this is Greba Bridge. Sometimes get a little bit of a wheelie on the way out of there. Sometimes get a pit board just there on the left hand side, join a race just to tell you where you are. This next corner's just about flat. Well, it should be flat, I just had to roll it a little bit then. Probably get it flat next lap. And this is coming down to Ballacrane traffic lights. This is where George Foreman was supposed to run through the entrance to the pub. Oh, nearly followed him then. Made a bit of a mistake, but not a big problem, just turned in a little bit early. This section you've always got to be careful. If it's been a little bit damp because of the trees, it tends to hold the water under here. Just come down a little bit of a hump now over Ballock Bridge there. Into the fast left-hander here, and got to be careful not to run too wide on the way out of here. Just a lot of time wasted doing that. And here the apex of the corner is quite a bit later than you think. You don't turn in too early, as you see the curb's quite a long way and then suddenly it comes up to you. This section here, a little bit just on, there's a new piece of tarmac just there. Just keep on the inside of that, it's a good indication you've gone the right line. And drive hard around here, this fast right, there's a bit of a lump on the way out of this just now, just a bit of a wobble there. Back one gear, then this is into the sort of Glen Helen section proper. A little bit bumpy here, there's two corners you take as sort of one here. You see this one into it and keep the power on. Back one and into the tighter left-hander here, and this wall here, you just brush your shoulder underneath those bushes. A little bit wide there, didn't quite get the line right. And this section here, it's quite important. This is the corner where you can't see the road before you start accelerating. You listen there, the power was on before you actually saw where you were going. And this is it's very steep uphill. This is really important to get every apex right and really keep the power on hard. As I've said before, there's a long straight after here, so it's really important to get the power down and really keep yourself tucked in. This section here is Conky straight. It used to be really bumpy years ago, but it's thankfully been resurfaced now. This next section here is just flat over the top of there. Just knock it a little bit. Should be flat. Down here, a little bit of a wheelie there. This next corner's flat, then back 2 gears now. As soon as you go left, back on the power hard again now. Really accelerating hard down here. Quite bumpy as well. This next section handles, you'll see as we go left and right. As you go through the right hand, there's a little yellow grate that you need to be riding across if you get the right line. So left, there it is. Straight over the top of it, perfect line that. And this section now is really important to get fast. Really get the power on hard. It's a secret to the fast lap as the Isle of Man, is really getting the power down and being smooth. This section here is big arrow. This can be quite scary. Back 1 gear and accelerate into it. You're using a bit of a wheelie there. There's a big dip in the bottom of here, the bottom of Big Arrow now. And it's worth going back a gear, just going through it gently, because the amount of time you make up isn't worth the damage you could do with the bike. You could flatten an exhaust or, you know, crack a fairing in the bottom of there. This section now, there's a curb jumps out with you there again. That way, this is the 11th milestone. No, 13th milestone. Out of here, you really start driving hard now into Kirkmichael. This is a bit where you really get the illusion of speed. This next section, because you're going through a little village at about 150 miles an hour. So back 2 gears, quite bumpy in the middle of this corner. Just see the bike bouncing there. And now this really does make this is what makes the Isle of Man special. Absolutely flat out through a village. It's quite unbelievable, really. Another little yellow grate on the right hand corner here as well to aim left, just there. Just keep near that and you've got a good line. As you go over this brow here, you aim for the telegraph pole in the distance and just see it there. And you've got to be keeping tight here, because there's a big jump on the way out of this section now. Big wheelie there, and if you hit that crossed up, it can get you in all sorts of bother. This section here is really nice. This is called Bishop's Court. It's absolutely flat out through here. And it's one corner, you can't really see that, so you've got to be committed. Here, unfortunately, there was a car accident before the practice started, and the tarmac melted, and it was a car accident, so they had to resurface it about half an hour before the practice session. You'll just see the dark patch there on the left-hand side. That's a new bit of tarmac, sort of slowing us down just to warn us. Normally that section would have been absolutely flat out. You'd have been approaching this corner here at about 160-70 miles an hour. And this is the famous Balaf Bridge. Same again, it's not worth doing a big spectacular jump. You could break a chain or damage a fairing underneath or something, so nice little jump, but really important to get on the power again. Very fast section after this. Back out into sort of the countryside again. This next corner is quite a scary one. It's very fast indeed, and quite a light apex because there's a jump just after it, so got to be important to get the bike straight again. Just there, if you hit that when you're turning, you can still be tank slapping all the way down here, which is not good. This section here I really like. This is coming into Quarry Bend. It's a little bit like short circuit racing, this. Real fast, right, left, and you just hear the engine revs building all the time. And then now onto Sulby Straight, so that last left and right there, really important that, because you've got a really long straight now. Just come out here past the crossroads, and it's quite a good place to have a bit of a relax down here. You can, you don't actually have to hang on to the bike too hard, because you're just going in a straight line and it's very smooth. As you come around this next section, it's absolutely flat as this corner, fully tucked in, and then suddenly from a little bit of relaxation, you're absolutely hard on the brakes from flat in top down to second gear. This is Sulby Bridge, quite a tight little corner this. You can usually scare a few people there on the outside if you wheelie past them. This section, I never really used to like this. This is Ginger Hall, and this next section all the way from here through to Ramsey. It's very bumpy. You'll see the camera bouncing about a lot down here. This is another section down here where you've just in this left, and in the right here you don't want to run too wide, because on the next left-hander just after it is a jump, so you've got to be straight now, and then whoop, bit of a wobble there, but nothing drastic. And this section now is really bumpy. This is it. Didn't used to like this, but once you get it right, it really does feel good. A little bit of a jump there as well. And here you keep the power on a lot longer than you would think. Right over this crest, still with the power on. Back a couple of gears, and then back a couple of more. And here you go right up down the right hand side of the road. Important not to run too wide out of here. You don't have to use all the road. On this next section through here, there's a curb that jumps out on you on the left hand side. You go right, not this one, the next one, the curb suddenly pops out at you underneath there. It's important, you've got to stay out wide to miss that. And this now coming down towards Milltown. Really bumpy through here. I really feel the bike bouncing about everywhere. This next section now still bumpy, and after this left hand there's a big jump, big bridge that you take on the run down in towards Ramsey. Just feel the back, then you throw it at the wall there. You try and aim for the wall, but you're going that quick you're never going to hit it, so you just, if you aim for it you're not going to hit it, so you just run through real quick. This section now coming down into Parliament Square, very bumpy, really smooth now, and just as the tarmac changes here it goes ever so bumpy. Really feel the bike bottoming out and stuff. Bit of a skid there on the way in just to keep everyone happy. Good, not a bad place to get a pit board here, just there on the left. You can get someone during the race just to give you an idea of where you are in the race. This section here, they've just resurfaced it over the top now, and there used to be a dip in the curb on the edge of the road and it used to help the camber. Now it's dead flat, so you end up running just a little bit wide on the way out as I did then. Now up to probably one of the slowest parts of the circuit, which is Ramsey Hairpin. Really easy to fall off and make yourself look really silly here. Just come into it nice and steady. It's really important to drive hard out of here. This is the start of the mountain section. A little bit greasy under the trees here. Just roll the power off a little bit. And this is into the waterworks now. The first section's a little bit quicker than the second one. Back another gear. The same thing there, you start getting the power on before you can see the road ahead, so it's all about knowing the circuit and having the confidence to drive hard out of there. Up now through this section, Tower Bends up towards the Gooseneck. This is where the mountain really starts. There's, you know, real flowing corners now. Always good to do a little wheelie or something, and if you're having a good race out of here, you can always sort of wave to people out here. Now it's really important, this is really steep uphill, so it's really important to get the power down and really be smooth and make sure you hit all the apexes and make sure you get a good line through all the fast corners. This is where you can make up quite a lot of time. It's important to really get tucked in up here as well, because if the wind's blowing against you, you can imagine you've got a headwind, you really need to try and make yourself as small as you can behind the fairing. This bit here, Guthrie's, you use all the road just on the left here. You'll see it, you sit up, just run across the edge of the road there. Thankfully they've put an extra little piece of tarmac in for us. And this corner now, the left, here we are, just coming on to, just about to take the right hander onto the Mountain Mile now. And this is really important. It's such a long section, there we are, just onto the Mountain Mile now. And it's such a long section where you just really got to keep yourself tucked in as tight as you can. And you listen to the bike, it's just pulling all the way up here. On the big super bikes up here, it suddenly becomes, it's supposed to be as straight as this, but the corners suddenly become a lot bigger when you're hitting them 180 miles an hour, which you will be doing on the big super bikes. This is another corner at the end where you tend to keep it on longer than you think you would. Still keeping the power on now, and important to get parallel with the fence on the right hand side here. You can see the windsock in the distance showing it's very windy, so it's important to get your line correct. All these three lefts here you take as one long corner. Really driving hard up here. A few little corners here look very similar. This next right here you take absolutely flat, and this next one that looks similar you don't. Just roll it back one. And then now we've got the left hander before the veranda, which is 4 corners that you take as one. I'm also catching a bike in the distance there. These next 4 right-handers you take as one. You'll see the white line. There's 1, there's 2, and then come right in, and the last one now right up to the wall, 4 corners, all as one there. That was the veranda. Now coming down towards the fast right here, catching this guy just before the left of Bungalow Bridge. Not quite sure who it is. No, it's another production bike, you can tell by the red plate. Just past him, and this is another corner where you keep really concentrating on keeping out wide, so you can keep parallel with the right hand side of the circuit there. Down across the railway lines, not many circuits have got tram lines across them. This is uphill again, up Halewood Rise now, up towards Brandywell. This is another corner that looks like you should brake for it, or sorry, slow down a bit, but it's actually absolutely flat round there. And this next one looks similar, but you're back quite a few gears for this. This is into Brandywell. And you can just start to notice the bike revs up that little bit easy now. We're just on the run down the mountain now. We've gone over the top, so you're really starting to get your speed up quickly now. This is the 30-second, 3 corners you take as one. You'll see now 1, 2, and then this last one's absolutely flat out. Driving really hard now down towards Windy Corner, which, as its name says, is very windy tonight. You can feel the wind under the bike. That's why I'm a little bit wide there. Just blew me offline a little bit. This section now is really fast, running down towards the 33rd. This is another corner where you need to concentrate on being level with the fence on the right hand side. Just coming into it now, you'll see me hang out wide and then bring it in close to the fence on the right hand side, dead parallel with the fence. And then now in, and then really drive hard, keep the power all the way around here. It's all one corner, is that? You see the white line moving about underneath you. This section now coming down towards Kate's Cottage, and this really is coming down towards a steep hill, down towards the Craig. This next section now, Kate's Cottage, is always a wet patch. It can be sunny for weeks, and there's a wet patch right about there, which is always a little bit worrying. This section now down on the Craig. This is where you see plenty of people sat having a pint and wish you could stop for one. Just another couple of laps and you can have one yourself. So down here, really easy corner to make a silly mistake here, run wide or something. In the race now, this is the fastest bit. My sister usually pit boards for me there on the left. This is probably the fastest bit of the circuit, down towards Brandish, which is the left hand at the bottom of here, but this is absolutely flat out. And the braking marker here is a little gateway in the hedge, just there. Might not have seen it, but that's the braking marker that we use for this corner on the big bikes. 600, you brake a little bit later than that. This next section now, Hilbury, really enjoy this corner. This really gives you an illusion of speed because you're so close to the spectators on the left hand side now, you're so close to the wall. Just back one gear, tip it in and flatten it. Just drive as hard as you can. Getting on now towards the end of a lap. This is where, in the grandstand, where the little light comes on when you pass Cronknamona. This is it. 3 corners now, just before Signpost Corner. All those corners you take as one. Just coming down towards the end of the lap. You've got about 1.5 miles to go now, if that, maybe a mile. We're driving hard down here. This corner's quite bumpy as well. You can just see the camera bouncing about there. A couple of mates sat on the wall there, just on the left hand side, right hand side waving, sorry. This is the nook. This is quite a tricky corner. Not as fast as you think it is, but quite hard accelerating out of it. This is down to the most annoying part of the circuit, Governor's Bridge. It's been there for longer than the TT has, and I think it's going to stay, but it's so annoying. It's so easy to have a silly little slide or a little wobble in the middle here and lose a lot of time, so really steady away, and then now really drive hard out of here. And you can see, really get the power on now, driving all the way down. And in a senior or F Formula 1 race, got another 5 laps to do. Production race, just another 2 laps. So there we have it, a lap of the Isle of Man.